You've been running from it your whole life, the darkness inside you, the thoughts you bury, the pain you disguise as strength. But Carl Jung warned, what you deny controls you. The shadows you repress do not vanish. They rot beneath your smile, feeding on your false light. You've called it depression, anxiety, chaos. Jung called it alchemy because every wound is a crucible, every breakdown a furnace of rebirth. The darkness isn't your enemy. It's the fire meant to burn away what you are not. You were never meant to stay pure. You were meant to transform. Every scar holds gold. Every nightmare carries light. And until you walk through your own abyss, you will never see the sun rise inside you. So tonight, stop running. Step into your shadow. Let the fire consume you, because only through destruction, the soul remembers itself. Only through pain, you become real. The alchemist is waiting, and the experiment is you. Number 1, the descent begins. It starts in silence, the kind that hums beneath your thoughts. You feel it before you see it, the slow collapse of the self you built to survive. The mask cracks, the light flickers. The world you thought you understood begins to dissolve, and suddenly there's nowhere to hide from what lives inside you. Carl Jung called this moment the confrontation with the unconscious, the first descent into the personal underworld. You think you're breaking down, but you're only breaking open. Every suppressed emotion, every buried truth claws its way back, demanding to be seen. The ego resists. It wants order, control, safety. But the psyche wants truth, and truth is chaos before it is peace. You will feel lost, fragmented, stripped of meaning. That's how rebirth begins, in psychological death. Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. You're not being punished, you're being purified. The descent is terrifying because it burns away everything false. Your task is not to escape, it's to endure. To descend willingly into what frightens you most. Whisper to yourself as you fall, I turn my darkness into gold. Because only the brave descend, and only the broken become whole again. Number 2, the shadow unveiled. You've met the enemy, and it wears your face. The shadow waits where you least expect it. Behind your confidence, your kindness, even your morality. It's not the monster under the bed, it's the one living quietly in your reflection. The part of you that wants to destroy and create in the same breath. The instincts you deny, the desires you shame, the anger you bury so deep it poisons your smile. Carl Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The shadow is not evil, it is unlived life. It's every potential you rejected to appear good. When you meet it, you will tremble, because it knows everything you hide. It will whisper your truths with terrifying precision. You can't kill it, you can only claim it. To face your shadow is to reclaim your power. To integrate it is to become whole. Most people flee from it and spend their lives haunted by what they avoid. But you will turn toward it. You will see that within its eyes lies gold, molten and pure. Breathe and whisper to yourself, I turn my darkness into gold. The shadow smiles back, because it always wanted to be seen. Number 3, the alchemist's fire. You've entered the furnace now. The walls glow red with everything you've resisted. Pain isn't abstract anymore. It's alive, consuming, sacred. This is the alchemist's fire, the stage of calcination Jung spoke of, where everything false burns away, leaving only what is real. You will try to escape, to rationalize, to numb. But the psyche doesn't negotiate. It demands transformation. Every heartbreak, every humiliation, every betrayal is heat applied to the soul. It hurts because your ego is dying and something immortal is trying to take its place. Suffering becomes the experiment. You learn that agony refines awareness the way fire purifies gold. What once felt like punishment begins to feel like initiation. Jung knew that the psyche is an alchemist. It uses destruction as a tool of creation. The more you resist, the longer you burn. But if you surrender, the flames begin to shape you into something indestructible. The fire will not kill you. it will reveal you. Your tears become molten metal, your wounds, symbols of rebirth. As you stand in the blaze, whisper through the smoke, I turn my darkness into gold, because only those who endure the fire ever find the light that was hiding inside the ashes. Number 4, death of the persona. You've worn it for years, and the mask that smiles when your soul screams. The persona was your armor, your performance, your survival strategy. Carl Jung called it the ideal self, the version of you sculpted to be accepted, admired, safe. But it was never you. It was the prison built from other people's expectations. Now the cracks widen. The laughter feels hollow. The identity you curated begins to decay under the weight of truth. This is the death of the persona. And it feels like dying because every lie you ever believed about yourself is collapsing. You thought the world would end if you removed the mask. You were wrong. The world doesn't end. The illusion does. Beneath the fragments, something stirs. The raw, unfiltered self that never needed to pretend. The dissolution of the persona is the psychological crucifixion Jung warned of. Ego death, followed by rebirth. You can't awaken while still protecting the mask that's killing you. Let it fall. Let it rot. Let the image burn in the same fire that purified your soul. And when the ashes settle, whisper to your reflection, I turn my darkness into gold. Because the death of who you were is the birth of who you truly are. Number 5, the night sea journey. Now you drift into the endless black, the night sea of the soul. Everything familiar has sunk beneath the waves. Your name, your memories, your meaning. The descent is complete. This is the stage Jung called the night sea journey. The dark voyage through the unconscious where the ego dies and the self begins to emerge. There is no light here, no path, no certainty. Only the rhythmic silence of your heartbeat against eternity. You feel abandoned, but you are not alone. Every soul that ever transformed passed through this same abyss. You will be tempted to call it depression, madness, despair. But it is metamorphosis disguised as annihilation. The mind screams for control, but the soul whispers, surrender. The ocean wants to unmake you, so it can remake you. Your identity dissolves like salt in water. You are neither alive nor dead, only becoming. Time loses its grip. In this sacred drowning, the gold is forming. It can't be seen, only felt, pulsing in the void like a hidden sun. You were never meant to escape the darkness, only to travel through it. Whisper it now, even as the waves close in. I turn my darkness into gold. The current carries you deeper, toward rebirth. Number 6, the emergence of gold. At first, it's just a flicker, a faint glow pulsing within the ruins. After endless night, even a whisper of light feels like resurrection. You begin to breathe again, not because the pain has vanished, but because you've stopped fighting it. Jung called this the integration of the unconscious, the moment the soul retrieves what the ego abandoned. You faced your demons long enough to realize they were never enemies, only lost fragments of your own power. The gold begins to rise from within, molten and silent, shaped by every scar you earned in the dark. What you thought was weakness becomes wisdom. What you called chaos becomes clarity. The light that appears now isn't fragile, it's forged. You no longer seek peace outside, you've mined it from the depths of your own suffering. The self that emerges is raw, grounded, and terrifyingly alive. You've survived the alchemist's fire and returned as the philosopher's stone itself, consciousness that cannot be broken. As you stand among the ashes, say it like a vow, I turn my darkness into gold. Because the transformation is complete when you realize the darkness never left. It simply learned to shine. Number 7, the self reclaimed. Something quiet awakens within you, a presence older than your fear. After the fires, after the void, you return to yourself not as the person who began this journey, but as something entirely reborn. Carl Jung called this the self, the unified center of your psyche, where all opposites meet in balance. You've met your shadow, you've buried your mask, you've endured the sea of unmaking, and now what remains is truth. It doesn't shout, it breathes. It is the part of you that knows without thinking. There's a strange stillness in this return because you realize the gold you were seeking was never outside. It was the consciousness forged in the crucible of your own suffering. Individuation isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. Light and dark, divine and animal, holy and broken. You embrace them all. You can finally stand in your own presence without flinching. This is what Jung meant when he said the self is both the goal and the path. You are no longer split between who you pretend to be and who you are. You've become the observer and the observed. The gold gleams within you, quiet, eternal, unchanging. Breathe it in and say it once more, not as a prayer but as a truth you've earned. I turn my darkness into gold, because now you understand, the darkness was never against you. It was you calling yourself home. Number 8, the alchemy of pain. Pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you. Every wound carved a doorway. Every scar became a symbol of initiation. Jung said that neurosis is the suffering of a soul that has not found its meaning. You've lived that truth. You've bled in silence, thinking the pain was proof of your weakness, but it was proof of your depth. Pain is the body's way of forcing consciousness to expand. When you stop running from it, it changes form. It becomes data, pattern, message. The psyche doesn't waste agony, it refines it. What once tore you apart now threads you back together with gold. You begin to understand nothing was random. Every heartbreak was a ritual, every loss a sacred offering to your evolution. When you stop asking why me and start asking, what is this teaching me? The alchemy begins. Suffering becomes art. Trauma becomes understanding. You carry your wounds not as evidence of defeat, but as proof that you've lived deeply. You are no longer afraid of pain because you've learned its secret. It always leaves behind wisdom. Whisper it now, steady, certain, eternal. I turn my darkness into gold because the pain didn't ruin you. It revealed the masterpiece beneath. Number 9, the power of awareness. Awareness is the gold the alchemist sought. You've mined it from the rubble of your unconscious, forged it through fire, and purified it with pain. Now you see everything, not through the eyes of fear, but through the clarity of understanding. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But now fate has lost its hold on you. You see the pattern beneath chaos, the code behind every emotion. Awareness gives you dominion, not over others, but over yourself. You no longer drown in emotion, you observe it. You no longer chase meaning, you create it. The mind that once devoured you now obeys you. The shadow that once hunted you now walks beside you as ally and guide. This is the philosopher's stone. Not a thing, but a state. Consciousness that transmutes suffering into wisdom instantly. Every thought becomes deliberate. Every wound becomes strength. Every fear becomes fuel. The world hasn't changed, but your perception has, and that changes everything. You move through chaos untouched, luminous, calm, awake. Say it once more, not as hope, but as mastery. I turn my darkness into gold, because awareness is the gold, and you, the alchemist who found it. Number 10, the untouchable soul. You stand where few ever arrive, beyond the ruins, beyond illusion, beyond the self that feared the dark. The fire has quieted, the sea has stilled. What remains is something indestructible, awareness clothed in human form. You have seen your shadow and you did not flinch. You've met your pain and you did not run. You've watched every false identity burn until only essence remained. This is the alchemical gold Jung spoke of. Consciousness refined by suffering, love reborn through annihilation. You are not perfect, you are whole. You no longer seek light because you've become it. The chaos around you may roar, but it cannot touch you. The storms may return, but they no longer define you. You have gone through the underworld and returned carrying the sun inside your chest. You are the stillness behind thought, the witness behind pain, the self that endures. The alchemist's work is complete, and so are you. Whisper it for the last time. not as a wish, but as truth. I turn my darkness into gold. If these words awaken something inside you, comment them below. Let the world know you've begun your own transformation. And remember, like this, subscribe and turn on notifications, because your journey has just begun, and the light you found here will never fade.